Oh, yeah, I know. Just check it out.
Well, I won't actually be at EQ. I will be at DragonCon.
Maybe she. Yeah, he was just the one for anger or wrath. But
we never got 7.
Yeah, I don't think we ever made it up to 7. I mean, I think we might have had ideas for all of them, like Smegma. The Smegma in the lore. Smegma was the sloth god. He was like a giant slug that like vomited on his followers. I don't remember them all. Wasn't there like I think there was a fat elf that we made up too for one of the deadly sins. I think was it lust or envy, gluttony? Yeah, it was a fat elf. It was pretty. Yeah, I like that one. I don't remember what it was called, but neither of those.
God named like too much cheese on the taco, Smegma.
Yeah, I don't know if Smegma.
Damn it.
That's what I heard. I'm going with yes.
Yep.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. If it was directed at me. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, as gross as you can imagine.
I had never heard of that.
Yeah, man, it was all about the gross out factor. Did I miss the Ivan's funeral? Well, did he tell you the Hawkins and the yeah, okay, there was a guy, a very dramatic character named Hawkins. I don't know if any of you know him. He was kind of way back then.
The only thing I'd ever heard of Hawkins is that he would make up crazy stories that were just not true about himself.
Yes, he was a 1,000-year-old space vampire with half-dragon demon blood from the future. And fought in Vietnam. Yeah, at 19. It was great. I mean, well, you know. It was delusional. It was great, yeah, I enjoyed it. But anyway, so Hawkins was role playing very, very sternly, like he's mourning Ivan's death, and we had just taken credit for it. I guess this was something that they had planned or something, but we just showed up and we're like, oh, this character is dying, and they're having a big funeral. Well, it's because the goblins showed up. Yeah, we're pissed and mouth eat alive. We walked around the entire campsite chanting that probably for 2.5 hours, just with people like throwing shit at us. It was great fun. We were like pushing on tents. We were really crossing some lines probably back then, but that was like the first appearance. I just remember I was 13 years old and I was supposed to be a kinder, and I showed up and it was just all of a sudden, like all the people I really wanted to hang out with were over there dressed up like goblins, and it's just a calling. So yeah, I wore Malavin's garb because there was no garb, but I realized that I was where I needed to be, and we really caused some hurt feelings. But anyway, Hawkins with the butt jerky, right? So somewhere from the feast there was this giant piece of like spam. I'm not really sure what it was. It was yeah, it was like a hunk of like it was gross. but sprayed and did you put nails in it too? Were we all putting nails in it? I don't remember. We ended up putting like over 200 nails into this hunk of meat, right? And we were carrying it around, asking if any of these characters who were grieving so hard wanted any of this butt jerky that we had saved from Ivan, and we were like, "It's a gift. We've come all the way, and we killed his knight, and we bring him his butt jerky." And they're all like, "Oh my god!" But so we went to Hawkins' tent, and we're like, "Hawkins, you must try the butt jerky. It's so good. It's flavored in fear and in blood." And he comes out of the tent as serious as he can. I think he was wearing sunglasses. It's just as serious as he can, and tries to backhand this hunk of meat out of our hand, but it's like covered in nails, and so he totally fucked up his hand pretty serious there. Yeah, I mean it was funny, especially at the time, but like I mean he did hurt himself. So, he did.
You should tell the story for people present about Scribbit's blood and the other thing.
Oh, the jar of vileness?
Yes.
Yeah. So Scribbit's blood was It was a concoction. Kudzu and Gorga actually helped with it a lot. It was basically, if I remember the ingredients correctly, it was Gatorade and Fireball schnapps or something like that, cinnamon schnapps, and then it was it was probably a dozen Chinese firecracker peppers, all the parts, all mixed into it, and basically everything spicy I could find. There was cayenne pepper in there, Tabasco, like sriracha. It was a mess, you know. It didn't taste good. It didn't feel good to drink it, and I basically I made up a huge batch and ran it around an event, and then at the next event, Nango was having his headhunter trials, and for either endurance or something, he had to chug this giant like 2-liter horn of it. It was real disgusting.
Ugh.
He did. He knocked it down. He knocked it down. It was not easy to drink even a little bit of that shit. What's the word for the how they measure temperature in peppers, like scolines or something? It was probably pretty. Yeah. Yeah, and then the jar of vileness was basically this little jar that I had that I started by collecting like little bugs and stuff in it, and I just wore it on my belt. It was just part of my flair or whatever. But then it started getting really serious, and I was getting like some really gross things, and I ended up getting I don't know how many of you know Sadanaka, but
Oh.
he like sliced his foot on a rock at our field, and like his heel, like the whole callus of his heel came off, and I was like, put it in here. Man, that thing festered in there for several years. Just with all the other gross stuff I could come across, but I would run around and be like, who needs to smell the smell of victory before battle? And people would be like, yeah, and I'd like wave it under their nose. You know, it was really revolting. I think I actually left in Isret's car after some Avalon Crown War, and he buried it or something. Yeah, it needed to go. It was time. It was gonna spawn like an evil Saki golem or something. It was gonna be horrible.
Oh, man.
There's some legit black magic in that fucking thing, man.
Oh. When you said the flesh of a truly terrible person, I was kind of wondering who are you referring to.
Oh yeah, man, it was his, and it was like, I mean, by year 2, it had like gotten all weirdly hard around the edges, but it was like getting gross around the middle. It was real disgusting. Yeah, I don't know, man. We were real gung ho about it, you know.
Well, that was the same time period where I was also tying up dead insects in my belt, like in knots, and just leaving them there and forgetting about them. Like big beetles and crap, I would tie them in. You know, I would tie them into my, like, while alive. I was a weird little kid. I would just tie them in there and then go out fighting, and you know, and they would just die and they would rot in my belt. And I wouldn't wash anything that I had really much unless it was just unbearable, especially not the belt. So yeah, we were gross, like little teenagers doing this
Horrible.
shit. You guys have evolved a lot, man.
Gorga's shirt is the only garb I will not wash.
That's cool. It's probably getting fragile actually at this point.
Probably.
I do think it's very enlightening as far as what goblins are supposed to be, in that they were created originally a bunch of really pissed off, angry teenagers. Like, I try to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. We were all very punk rock, and I think it was, we were musically influenced a lot by what we were listening to, like as a group too. I mean, that was like right when Marilyn Manson came out, and I mean, it sounds weird now, but like back then we were like, fuck everybody, it was great. Yeah, I mean, we were like shaking people's tents and shit. I mean, we were going all out. They hated us. The invention of put that down was like a nightmare.
Put that down as cute now, but they didn't used to think it was cute.
Like it was like fighting words back in the day. Yeah.
I mean, like I still, like the other day I was just thinking to myself about Test and Mouth Eat Alive, and I was like, God, that's hardcore. Things just chant at someone. Like,
Well, they had planned for months this equinox was gonna all be centered around this guy's funeral, and we just went in, and nobody had planned for us to even be goblins. We were all different characters. I think that was the first time we even came out, and yeah, so it was just all hell broke loose. Like they had all these nicely made plans, and yeah, it was.
well, Izareth and Malavin actually had come out a bit before that, and like maybe a month before that and a half, and then they convinced me and Scrade to do it, and Blixxx started. So maybe that was me and Scrade's first event and Blixxx. So can we kind of all? That was like the first time we were all together.
I had heard a rumor that Marilyn Manson was somehow connected to the original Skrill, but that's the first I'd heard it confirmed. Actually, that's funny.
Well, it's like that. Watching Clockwork Orange over and over again, which is what I was thinking about when I posted that thing on the caravan the other day. Because I was like, I think that because we'd go, we'd watch that and make garb, and I think that definitely kind of like went into the unconscious, kind of just like that irrational ultraviolence, and the fighting each other. Like that's something we did a lot then. Is we would just constantly fight each other and start wrestling each other in the middle of nowhere for no reason, or just turn on each other in a field battle for no good reason or anything. It would happen a lot, and like I think that was that movie's influence, because in that movie they're a team, but they basically turn on each other left and right. So, and the book too.
The video board game Nightmare.
Yeah, I guess. Like,
We were never very gracious at feasts or anything either. There was never no. I mean, it was like everyone had to kind of wink, nudge, because we were really like we'd be demanding our food and like.
at that one rag, I started just going, we will not shut up. We're hungry.
Yeah, I mean,
We
no sacred
will
things,
not.
Negro spiritual, all of it. We were doing it. Turned the whole pool green at that same rag. Well, I did, because I had dyed my hair completely green too, and it was permanent. That pool, they were so pissed off at that campsite. There was a pool at this campsite. We turned it green.
Like dark, shitty algae green.
Oh yeah, it was not. It was not beautiful. It wasn't like, oh, if the sun hits it just right, that looks like no. Thickness in there.
Oh man. Oh.
Well, has anybody else got like lore to share or questions to ask or anything? We've been running our mouths a whole lot.
I just gotta say, this has been awesome.
Oh yeah, I love these. I like to do these as much as we can do them. Anybody's down, I'm down. This program seems to work pretty well. I mean, we don't have the video, but it seems to be pretty smooth as far as getting people on it and everything.
Yeah.
Hey, the monster cesspool again was friggin' awesome.
So I think we definitely need to bring back like a little bit of that attitude, like like some of those chants, like piss in mouth, eat alive. Man, I want to bring that back. That'd be cool.
Yeah, you can just roll that one anytime, really. That's just a good thing to say.
Always a wedding.
So I'm
We're here for the blessed occasion. Piss and mouth, eat alive.
so I'm hearing this is going to be done at Talinar's wedding at Akfest then?
Oh dear.
Absolutely. I think we're obliged to at this point.
God, he's gonna kill me the week afterwards.
Oh, yeah, but it'll be worth it.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't have your
definitely.
wedding at a sword fighting event expecting it to be a magical moment.
Dude, it's kind of like, has anybody seen the WoW wedding or the WoW? What was it? It wasn't a wedding. It was for like somebody who died that was a player, and the Horde griefed them. They were allies, and they were like they took the guy's old tune out to his fishing spot and set him up fishing. And they all came out there not ready for a fight, and Horde just rolled everyone.
What?
Yeah, this was a long time ago, but it was a much talked about event in WoW, kind of first before any of the DLCs or anything. It was back then.
Man.
it would be kind of like that.